संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। So till now, in the third chapter, we were discussing the concept of Karma Yoga from the standpoint of Loka Sangraha, that a realized soul who has fulfilled all his duties, who has reached the spiritual state of illumination, and who has already realized the soul's non-identification with the body, with the mind, as such have no use in any activity. Because he has activity means that we all pursue some activity because we have some end as in our mind. We have some goal in our mind. And for him, all the purpose has been served. There is no goal as if for him. He knows that he is the eternal soul already fulfilled. So, apparently, action is contradictory to such a person. But here in Bhagavad Gita, we find that even after realization, Krishna is bringing this idea that yes, when you know for certain that you are not the body, not the mind, then there is no need for action. That's true. And there is no need for inaction. We need not stop our actions abruptly. There is no need for inaction also. The reason he is saying that the nature is going on in its process. We who are the product of nature, we have been born with certain karmas to be fulfilled. The body has its own impulse. The karma has to be exhausted. Even after the realization, it has to be exhausted. Just the example which we give again and again. When the fan is revolving, you off the switch. The fan doesn't stop immediately. So you have disconnected. But the fan still continues to revolve. Why? Because of the past inertia of motion. That though there is no connection between the fan and the electricity, the fan revolves for some time to stop at last. So our prarabdha, even after realization, the force which has resulted in this body, it continues. So let it continue. Don't stop it abruptly. That Swamiji's idea, neither seek nor avoid with that idea. You continue with your action. In that way, you won't be creating confusion in the society. If you suddenly stop action, the one who is not illumined, he will have the idea that that is the ultimate state where all the action has to cease. And with that idea, though he has not realized that state, apparently he sees a person actionless and he is considered to be a realized soul. He takes that to be the ideal, and the shortest way, as Swamiji says, from the shortest way to tamas is the appearance of sattva. The people will take the appearance of sattva, that I am as if a realized soul who has not realized. And in the name of realization, it will lead to laziness, it will lead to unproductivity. So in no way stopping of action has been prescribed by Bhagavan in Bhagavad Gita. So we were discussing it for the last few classes. Now we will enter into the section which deals with the real psychology. That are we the real doer? we think that it is we who are the doer. I am that. If I have to do any action, it is my choice. I decide and then I go for that action. There in my mind there are three things. What do they say? This, whenever there is actions to be done, I have three choices. Kartum, akartum, anyatha kartum. Shall I do it? Shall I not do it? Or shall I, even if I have to do it, I will do it in some other way. So these options are there. And it is I who take the decision and go for the action. That's our general notion. So here Bhagavad Gita is saying something which we will find is interestingly something which coincides, which is as if ascertaining the present psychological discoveries. So we will go to it gradually. First let us go to the sloka. What the sloka is saying, the 27th sloka of the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashah ahankara vimuratma kartaham iti manyate. So all the activities are carried out by the three modes of nature. Prakriti. The nature is the Prakriti. The Prakriti is working, kriyamanani, through the guna, through the three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. These are the three modes of nature. What it means, we will come to the discussion gradually. So the entire Prakriti, the entire nature, as per Vedanta, as per the Yoga philosophy and the Sankhya philosophy, constitutes of three gunas, sattva, raja, tama. Nothing else. Whatever I see, whatever I feel, my own existence, inside, outside, as per this existence is concerned, which is perceptible. All this thing which is perceptible, and based on that perception, the way we are reacting to it, everything is nothing but constituted of three gunas, sattva, raja, tama. The entire nature, only these three gunas are mutating. It's not that the sattva is something fixed, rajas is something fixed, tamas is something fixed. It is less like the three threads of a rope intertwined. No, nothing like that. They are constantly mutating, and they are the thing which constitutes the nature. They are working. All the actions, all the perceptions, everything is in that domain. The self is just the witness. It is because of ahankara. The second line will say ahankara vimuratma. Vimudha. Because of ignorance, the ahankara, the ego comes into picture. And because of that ego, we think it is I who am the doer. I am the one who is working. So what actually it is saying? So now sometimes we find that lot of explanations with sattva, rajas, tamas. The sattva, they say, is a state of calmness. This world is full of rajas. Everywhere you see is activity. And where activity is not there, it is tamas, darkness. The balance between these two is sattva. Sometimes we find it is all confusing. It doesn't make a very clear sense that the entire world is, of course, active. But it is constituted of these three guna, what actually it means. Let us try to understand from the very words which has been used in the scriptures to describe sattva, rajas, tamas. Now sattva has been spoken of as illumination, equipoise, calmness. See, what are the terms? Illumination, calmness, equipoise, sattva. Let us try to find out what all other things has been used in the scriptures to describe sattva. They say as per our sense organs are concerned, the organs of perception, the eyes, the ears, the nose for smell, the tongue for taste, and the skin for touch. These are the 5 organs of perception, Jnanendriyas. In the scriptures it has been mentioned that they are pure sattva. unadulterated sattva. And sattva is illumination, sattva is calmness. So just keep these ideas in the mind. What is rajas? Rajas is activity. Rajas is activity, and as per our sense organs are concerned, the karmendriyas, the organs of action, your hand, your feet, your organ for speech, the vak, and the organ of evacuation, and the organ of regeneration. So these are the 5 karmendriyas, organs of action, and they are pure rajas. So again, keep in mind all the ideas of rajas which has been spoken of in the scripture. It is activity, and it is this, as per our organs are concerned, the karmendriyas are pure rajas, unadulterated rajas. And what is tamas? They say the pancha tanmatras which conglomerate to form this world of panchabhuta. These are the tamas, and tamas speaks of darkness. Now this term tanmatra has to be explained. This panchabhuta tanmatra is a technical terms. What it means? Tanmatra means tat matra, only this, only this. What it speaks of? We generally, when we read the scriptures, we think that panchabhutas means this gross world, and tanmatras are the shukshma bhutas, means they are the subtle, they are the subtle of this objects. This table is made of wood. All the subatomic particles, many will be thinking, is tanmatra. Actually, that way we can never understand what it is being spoken of. Tanmatra means tat matra. It has nothing to do with the external world. What in Vedanta they say is that mind is not vacant, is not blank. When a small child is born, it is not that his mind is blank and we pour information into it and he becomes learned. Never it happens like that. If the mind was blank, we could have never learned. The mind of a child has all the ideas, but they are all hidden. They are all dormant. The external world acts as a stimuli to gradually bring those ideas in their mind. How it happens? Just say that we think that red flower, the redness is outside. With this example, we will try to understand all our modes of perception. The redness is outside. The redness is not outside there. There is no color outside. Even in science, if you in the modern science, if you just is aware of it, you will find there is no color outside. When the light is falling on the flower, only a particular wavelength is reflected back. What gives the color to the flower? It's not the light which is being absorbed. All the lights are absorbed. A particular wavelength is reflected. What is reflected, that speaks of the color. But that has no color actually. It's just a particular wavelength of light that comes and touches the retina of your eye. The function of the light is over. The light never reaches your brain. The light's function is over in the retina. It doesn't enter the brain. The brain is dark, pitch dark. No light enters there. If you imagine yourself sitting in the brain, there is no light. But the moment that particular wavelength of light touches the retina, now it gets converted into optic nerve current. The optic nerve will be just taking that nervous impulse. It is almost like an electricity. It's being carried. When it reaches the brain, the color, we say it is color perception center, but it's not color perception. When it reaches the brain and it is being received by the color perception center, the so-called color perception center, what is reaching there? It is not any color. It is just a nerve current, a nerve impulse with a particular frequency. It's totally a matter of encoding and decoding. It's an encoded message. The external world is there. Some wavelength came. It got encoded into that nerve current. And when it reaches that so-called color perception center, it's now decoded. The color is already there. It was dormant. The moment this particular wavelength of light, this nerve current reaches that, is received by that brain center, immediately the color actually sparks from there. The color was hidden there, the idea of the color. And that's the color actually comes from within to envelop the object. It is being projected to give you a feeling that the object is red. Now, very interesting, we all are hallucinating. What gives that the idea of reality? We say the external world is real. Why? When I see the red flower, you also see the red flower. So it must be real. It must be objective. It has nothing to do with me and you. But now science has developed quite to say that it is a very, very controlled hallucination. We are all hallucinating in the same way. This speaks of a cosmic mind of which we are all part. By default, it has been designed that when such perception is going to happen, we are all projecting in the same way. Even in modern science, they call it consensus reality. There is no absolute reality. Consensus. I consent, you consent, we all give vote. It is just like in a democracy, what the majority says, that's the decision. So we all say it is red. So nowadays you will find if anyone has some aberration in the brain, they don't perceive the color perfectly. You go to the doctor, you go to some medical professional, they won't say it is a defect. They will say you are a bit different. What has happened? That we are hallucinating. We are also hallucinating. He is also hallucinating. He has also projected some color. But his way of projection somehow it doesn't match with the majority. So he's a bit different. Those who are schizophrenic, they're a bit different. They're not, means if majority would have been projecting the same way, everything would have been perfect. We would have said that's the reality. So what's the reality? Already something is in the mind. It is hidden. Those specific, why they are called tanmatras. Now again the question is, this is a very interesting thing. If you try to understand with the science, that's why Swami Vivekananda again and again used to say, the more the science advances, the more the ideas of the Vedanta and the yoga will become clear, palpable. Because something was spoken of which we forgot. We all forgot that what's actual implication it. With the advancement of the science, we can easily understand what they actually were speaking of, those terms actually are. So now, what's that all these perceptions, just see why the words are so important. Tan matra. If you try to translate it in the modern scientific language, what it means piecemeal perception. So we have an idea. So we have so many, our superficial ideas, even the modern science will say is totally wrong. When I see the red flower outside, it has a particular shape, it has a color, it has a fragrance. I think all those various attributes are perceived in the brain in one place. And then it gives me a sense of flower. The flower as a whole enters my mind with the fragrance, with the color, with the shape, with its texture. Everything enters my mind as a whole. It is perceived somewhere in my mind as a whole, and that's what I see. But even modern science will say perception never happens that way. The redness is perceived in the color perception center. The shape of the flower is perceived in a different center. Fragrance in the smell perception center. So all these various attributes are perceived in the various centers in the brain, not in one place. All these individual perceptions are tan matra, tat matra, only that, piecemeal. Wonderful, the mind, what it does, all these piecemeal perceptions, they will synthesize to give you a sense of whole, a sense of wholeness. To understand that, even when you are sitting in that movie theater, you can understand this idea. See, in the movie theater, when you're in the screen, what you are seeing is just the moving pictures. The sound is not coming from there. The sound is coming from some sound box somewhere else. But when you see the movie, do you ever feel that sound is coming from somewhere else? No. The characters whose lips are moving, you feel the sound is coming from there. We all feel that way. We never ever feel the sound is, but Fact is, sound is coming from somewhere else. But this too, as it has synthesized wonderfully, it immediately gives us a sensation that the character is speaking, the character is moving, the character is making whatever noise. If any gunshot is there, I feel that the gunshot is in the screen itself. We never feel it is coming from the sound box. So when it synthesizes wonderfully, then it gives you a feeling of whole. There is no whole actually. The sound is from somewhere else, the picture is, the same thing is happening in the mind. So many piecemeal perceptions were synthesized to give you a picture of the whole. So now you will find if you see the way the perception is happening is wonderful. It is all piecemeal perceptions, and all those piecemeal perceptions, when synthesized together to give you a sense of flower, that idea of flower is also there in the mind. All the piecemeal perceptions, idea of piecemeal perceptions are in the mind, and the idea of the whole, that's all the piecemeal perceptions synthesized together to give a sense of whole, that is also in the mind. So, but when I am yet to see the flower, I was sleeping, I get up, look out of the window, see the flower. When I was sleeping, where the flower was? It was in my mind. All those ideas were in the mind. This perception only invoked all those piecemeal perceptions, and then they synthesized, conglomerated to give you a sense of the flower. So all those concepts, individual concepts, piecemeal, the concepts of the piecemeal perceptions are the tanmatras, tatmatras, and they conglomerate to give you a sense of the bhuta, panchabhuta, this gross world. This grossness is the synthesis of all those individual piecemeal perceptions. So now you will find, hence Krishna is speaking of these three gunas. What he is speaking? Sattva, the 5 organs of perception. Can they do any action? They cannot do any action. Eyes can only see. And as long as you cannot do any action, they are pure, their nature of illumination and their nature of calmness. Just think that if by seeing anything you don't react, what it speaks of? Calmness. When I'm sitting in the shrine, looking at my chosen deity, and it gives me a sense of calmness. I'm perceiving something, but there is no reaction, and that takes you to a sense of bliss. So when stimuli is there, but no reaction, that results in calmness. Mindfulness, what it speaks? Don't react, but observe. It's not that you are closing your senses to what's going on. You are acutely observing what's going on, but you don't react to it. And that results in that mindfulness, which takes you to a state of bliss. So when stimuli is there, but no response, it takes you to a state of equipoise. Now you will understand. These organs of perception are there only to perceive. What? From the external world as a stimuli, whatever is coming. The moment that stimuli enters, it is perceived by your mind. The tamas, all those things which were in the darkness, those ideas, piecemeal, they were there. They get invoked. Now you will find why they say the gunas are mutating. It is sattva now is getting converted. This, what you say, the external perception is making the tamas into sattva, converting the tamas into sattva. That which was in darkness now comes to illumination. And now, after that, what happens? Now the karmendriyas become active. After I perceive, now I react. Immediately I react to it, isn't it? We all react. And for reaction, we react through the organs of action. So now, the sattva, raja, tama, what the three is speaking of? This three is speaking of nothing but the stimuli, response, conditioning. Nothing else. We are constantly responding to the stimuli. And the entire world is nothing but this stimuli, response, conditioning. Can we just deny this fact? This entire world is nothing but stimuli, response. A certain stimuli is there. We are responding to it, and this constitutes the entire world. This sattva, raja, tama is as actually, if we really try to understand, speaking of stimuli, response, conditioning. Now it's very interesting. When to a particular stimuli we respond, that speaks of life. The moment the life comes into picture, just take a small bacteria. What it is doing? That as per our Vedanta, the absolute reality is now getting identified with the microbe body. When it gets identified with the microbe body, what it is doing? It thinks, somehow the thought is there, I am eternal. It is not eternal. From where that idea comes, actually it is the self. But it has, because of ignorance, it has got identified with the reflection. And it takes the reflection to be real. The self is eternal, but seeing its reflection in this microbe body, it thinks, as a microbe body, I am eternal. This sense, from that comes that idea of the ego. That ego is this identification. From that comes the idea of preservation. If I am eternal, I have to preserve this body. So whenever there is some nutrient, the microbe is drawn towards it. Whenever there is a toxin, it is repelled from it. So what it speaks of? There's various type of responses to various type of stimuli. In the entire process of evolution, what has happened? This stimuli response got fixed, this conditioning. That whenever there is a nutrition, I get drawn towards it. Whenever there is something poison, I get repelled by it. I am afraid of it. This has created various, the stimuli response conditioning. All this stimuli response conditioning is based on what? Is based on some external circumstance, isn't it? If the external circumstance is favorable, I have a particular stimuli response conditioning. If it is not favorable, I have some different type of stimuli response conditioning. So this constitutes our mind. Our mind is full of, they say it is not a single mind. It is a mind which has innumerable mental modules. So there are various mental modules. And each module has a fixed stimuli response conditioning. Each module has a fixed stimuli response conditioning. At a particular time, only one module gets activated. You may say, how? Is it we who decide? No. That's very interesting. The external circumstance decide. It is not we who decide. Just for that microbe, if the nutrient is there, automatically the growth module, means where the stimuli says, go towards it. It speaks of growth. If I go and have the nutrient, that will help in my growth. The growth mental module gets activated if the nutrient is there. If some toxin is there, self-protection module gets activated. I have to protect myself. I have to run away from it. So very interesting that these modules get activated. Which will get activated? Only one gets activated at a time. The one which will get activated is the one which depends on the external circumstances. It has nothing to do with my choice. You may say, no, I decide, I always feel. There are the questions of doing, not doing. It's very interesting that mind is constantly befooling us. It is all the interplay of the environment with the mind, where mind is not a one single mind, it has innumerable mental modules, and one module is getting activated based on that circumstances, and this module has a fixed stimuli response conditioning. Based on that, it will respond in a particular way, but it will give me a feeling that I have decided. Many experiments in the present, it's very interesting. Nowadays, in various universities, various experiments has been done to really ascertain to this fact that we never decide. This, in some other context, we came to this discussion. I will just bring this modern scientific discoveries, experiments. There's one experiment, very interesting, very simple experiment. To start with, that there is a knob. When you press, the time is displayed on the screen. At what time you are pressing. Now the experiment is, there's a knob, and when you press, the time is displayed. Those who are conducting the experiment, they will call this anyone. They get arbitrarily anyone will be asked to sit down and press the knob. And then they say when you press the knob, you decide whether to press it with your right hand or with your left hand. But the moment you decide, immediately you press. And the time will be displayed. So the time which is displayed on the screen, that will show that when you decided, isn't it? The moment I decide I will press, I press with my left hand, immediately it will be shown. If I press it with my right hand, the time will be shown. The experiment has been done with hundreds of people, and it was asked again and again, did you press the button when you decided? Immediately just, yeah. But all those on whom the experiment was conducted, they were under some scanning, that EEG. Some scanning was going on. And the scientists were perplexed. In each and every case, an average that time has been found that the decision was actually taken 7 seconds before, minimum, means an average, minimum, optimum 7 seconds before he pressed the button. So they were really perplexed. That you can search in the internet, these experiments are there, that at least minimum 7 seconds earlier, when he is thinking that he has pressed the button with his right hand or with his left hand, and then only he has pressed it immediately, at least 7 seconds before the decision was taken. The scan shows that at least 7 seconds earlier the decision was taken. So this is considered as a spooky experience. It's like a ghost-like. Is some ghost sitting in our mind taking all those decisions? So for about a decade there was no solution. After that the experiment came, which is called the split brain experiment. That's also very interesting. That the brain, that has a left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. For some neurological issues, for some, that there has to be some surgical separation between the two. When that surgical separation is there, it has been found that they behave normally, they act normally. There is generally no side effects of it. But this split brain experiment shows that actually there are some shortcomings. What's the shortcoming? Very interesting. A person with a split brain was made to sit in such a way that he cannot turn his neck. And there was some display on the left side. That it was the display was in such a way that he can sit only with his left eye because he cannot turn his head. So there is something obstructing here. So with his left eye only he can see. So in the display the word comes, get up and move. And this man gets up and starts moving. And those who are conducting the experiment, they say, wait. Why you got up? Why are you moving? And then he told, there was a fridge in front. He told, I just want to have a glass of cold water. Now those who were conducting experiment, they were really perplexed. Because they saw that it was actually the instruction that get up and go, seeing that he started moving. But when we ask him, he says, no, it is because I want to drink water. That's why I have got up. So what is happening? Now the analysis is very interesting. That that in our brain there is a crisscross. Whatever perceptions happen in the left hemisphere is perceived by the right, or when you see with the left eye, it is perceived in the right brain. When you see with the right eye, it is perceived in the left brain. When I'm working with my right hand, there's instructions are coming from the left brain. So there's a crisscross in our brain. So all the right perceptions, right hand actions, everything is done in the left, and on the left is done in the right. So now this person who has a split brain, the instruction was displayed on the left side, which was perceived by the left eye. So it was actually, the instruction went to the right brain. Now the right brain, they say, is autobiographical. What it sees, immediately it registers that. It registers. And when if for most of us, this brain, there is connection. For him, there is no connection. It's a split brain. So immediately whatever instruction goes to the right brain, that it sees the exact thing, it perceives the exact thing, and it will be transmitted to the left brain. And the left brain is the language brain. It is the thing which interprets, is the language. Now for this person, there is a split between the right and the left. So what he perceived only with because his left side, he has been made to sit in such a way that he cannot turn his head. So right eye has not perceived. Only the left eye has perceived. So what he has perceived has went only to the right hemisphere. And accordingly, that response has already started taking effect. He has started moving. That get up and go, he started moving. But it was not transmitted to the left brain. Now when it is not transmitted, we never want to prove to the world that we are full. We are all, in modern psychology, they have coined the term benefactance. We always want to prove that I am a beneficial being, I am effective being. That I am doing something stupid without reason. We never want to just prove that to the world. Otherwise they will say I am mad, I become ineffective. So immediately the language brain comes to picture. Whenever something cannot be interpreted, immediately it will create its own language. So here, as something was not transmitted, it immediately took its own language. Instead, I am going to have a glass of water. But actually it's not the fact. So now the scientist, that the book which actually came out describing all these experiments, the title of the book is very interesting. The title of the book is Why Everyone Else is a Hypocrite. No one thinks himself to be a hypocrite. He thinks I am a man of that what I say, that I do, there is no hypocrisy in me. The others feel that I am a hypocrite. So here, this person himself thinks he's really going to get and have a glass of water. That's why he got up. So just see this left brain has a tremendous capacity. What's the capacity? It tries to convince others. Not only that, it tries to convince ourselves. Even it is trying to convince me. That person really thinks he's going to go and drink water. It is not only trying to convince others, it is trying. So this is the propaganda brain. The other can easily see that this man actually, because in this experiment he can see that actually this instruction made him get up, but actually what he's saying is not correct. He's saying that he's going to have a glass of water. It is not correct. So that's why he's a hypocrite. I can see palpably, but he never realizes. He thinks really I got up because I really want to get a glass of water. So, but you may say, but we are normal. This is a split brain, but we are normal person. For us, such thing can never happen. But our strong biases, our likings, dislikings, that naturally creates that split in our brain. When match is going on, a cricket match is going on, football match is going on, there is some quarrel, among the players some quarrel develops. And you will find it spreads out to the stadium where all the audience is sitting, and there is a tremendous fight. In so many cases has happened. The supporters will be fighting with each other. There may be casualties, death. And when someone goes for interview and asks that who is responsible, everyone will be saying the other party. Team A will say that for the team B it has happened. Why? So for every one of them, the split has happened because of their strong bias, of their own liking. So in this world, this bias creates that split. And that's why in any crime scene, you will find if there is 10 witnesses, not two of them will be saying the same thing. It's a very interesting thing. Whenever there is accident, whenever there is any crime, all the witnesses, when they are interrogated, you will find there is so much variation in what they are saying. Because what we see is affected by our bias. We think what I have seen is correct, but the split has been created by our biases, and the brain creates its own language. So many experiments have been done, very, very funny experiments, that when you are, if you are a co-author, some book has been written by 2 or 3 persons, you go and ask individually each of the authors that what is your percentage of contribution. that, okay, that both of you have written the book. What is the percentage of your contribution? Have you contributed 10%, 20%? That? So, and when whatever they say, when that is added up, is always invariably more than 100%. Is always more than 100%. Because everyone feels they have contributed more. If there is some, if any person has met a car accident and he is lying in the hospital bed, and you ask him, who is responsible? 90% case he will say, not me, the other party. And not only that, if you ask about the driving skills, what about your driving skill in 1 to 10? They will put it always in high, that for me it is always okay. So what it speaks of, our language being is very strong. It's not trying to convince others, it actually convinces me. But the decisions are all taken autobiographically, as per the stimuli response conditioning. It has been taken, but our language brain comes to the picture and it gives an interpretation. It's all the modern finding. Lots of experiments have been done, very interesting experiments. The entire world of advertisement knows that. The entire world of advertisement. You will find sometimes the advertisement has been designed in such a way, what it is doing? It is trying to activate some particular mental module by which you will take a decision which you think is your conscious decision. We will always say that we give that example. Especially that all the advertisements are such. You see the car, the car is being advertised. What has it to do with one very beautiful girl standing beside it? It has nothing to do with it. The cars but invariably you will find whenever the car, what you say, that advertisement is there, some beautiful model is standing beside it. It has actually the advertisement world knows very well. It will help to activate some other module by which you will be taking decision, thinking you are taking decision with full consciousness. The experiment, which again I will be saying that is very interesting, that it is a experiment of a very, very reputed university, that this university organized this educational excursion where the students of a particular course were allowed to bring their family for the excursion. And the excursion was designed in such a way that they are going to halt at some village town. They were going by train. They will halt there for the night. Next day morning, with another train, they will board another train to go to the destination. So in the evening, when they just get down in that particular station, they just when the train halts, they come down and they now have to stay for the night in that small town village town. So the plan was such that immediately they won't go to the restaurants, they won't go to the hotels. The number of the students with their family was much more compared to the hotels which were in the hub of that small town. All cannot stay there. Some have to go to the bit remote place, bit more interior place. Now they don't want it. The organizers never wanted to force anyone. Let them decide who wants to stay in the hub, who wants to stay in the bit interior place. So what they did, first they took them to some movie complex where various movies were going on. Now some entered a movie which was a horror movie, and some entered the movie which was a family adventure movie. And when they came out, after that they were asked to choose the hotel, whether they want to stay in the hub of the town or they want to stay in some remote place. Again, a wonderful thing was found, that those who went for the horror movie, they all chose. They all thought that we are choosing. They all chose the hub of the town, in the center. And those who went for this family adventure movie, they all chose that remote place themselves. What has happened? While watching the movie, particular mental module was activated. What's the mental module for those who are watching horror movie? Self-protection. I have to save myself. Now, in the animal world, you will find a wonderful thing. When the predator attacks, there's a herd. some herd of animals are going, the predator attacks. The herd will always try to be together. They always try to be together. Because they know if I get I am just separated from the entire herd, the entire focus of the predator will be on me. Then because you have been separated. In the herd, you may be hiding. But once you are apart from the herd, immediately you come to the focus. So you are in danger. Your life is in danger. So whenever we are in crisis, we always want to be in the herd. But when you are safe, you are with your family, you want to spend your time with your family, what will you do? You want to be aloof, isn't it? You want to be aloof. You need some time with your family. So those who went for the family adventure movie, they all decided to go to the remote place. Those who went for the horror movie, they all went to the hub. And no one was forced. They were asked to take their own decision. They took the decision. So who took the decision? It is a mental module which was activated as per the circumstances. So these are the experiments. Why we are saying that it so wonderfully fits with this sloka of the Bhagavad Gita. Prakrite kriyamanani. The nature is working. Based on the gunas, based on these various stimuli mental response conditioning of these fixed mental modules, these gunas. Guna karma. That's based on this guna and karma, the stimuli and the response. Sarvasha, everywhere. That's what is working. Ahankara vimuratma. Because of ignorance, the ego comes into picture. We think, I am the doer. Kartaham iti manyate. So this is the thing. Just see this wonderful psychological truth Bhagavan is saying to Arjuna. Know it for certain, it is the nature which is working. That we have a fund of stimuli, these mental modules, each have fixed stimuli response conditioning. Every day, even in our day-to-day life, we realize that. You will find that you yourself is a different person. When you are with your friend, you are a different person. When you are with your colleague, when you are with your friend, when you are back to your family, you will find you are different. Suddenly, your entire behavior changes. Why it happens? Again, this same thing. The environment that decides which mental module will take prominence. So this is the thing which is happening. It is this external world interacting with the senses, creating their own decisions, giving me a sense that I am deciding because of ignorance. The moment the ego comes into picture, ahankara, when the ahankara comes to picture, the moment I am identified with the flow, immediately the ego comes into picture. So that's the equation of all our action which is going on. So even from a rational point of view, am I the karta? No. Then why you have the sense of this karta, that I am the doer of action and I am the one who is enjoying the results? No. The Prakriti is just in its own way interacting, giving me that false notion that I am the karta. But the one who has realized, he can palpably see it. That is being spoken of in the next sloka. Tattvavittu. Tattvavittu mahabaho guna karma vibhagasha. Mahabaho, mighty armed Arjun. The illumined person, the Tattvavittu. The one who is Tattvavit. One is the knower of truth. He knows this distinction between these gunas, that the soul is distinct from the guna and the karma. Guna karma vibhagaya. Guna guneshu vartanta iti matva na shajjate. They perceive that it is only the gunas in the shape of the senses, mind. These are interacting with the gunas in the shape of the objects. And thus they don't get entangled in them. They are working. I am just a mere spectator. So who realizes that? One who is a tattvavit. One is the knower of truth. This is a very important word. When say the one who has realized the truth about the non-identification of the self with the body-mind complex. Who has realized, who has known the truth. So there is two words in Sanskrit, tattva Tattvam and Matam. Mata speaks of opinion. For us, that the self is separate from the body-mind is an opinion. I have not realized. So even after hearing this, we still continue to act in the same old foolish way because we are not Tattvavit. We are just having an opinion, matam. It is just a mere intellectual conviction. It's not a realization. The one who has realized, he always sees the difference. I will just give a funny example. That the two examples to understand is who is Tattvavit and who is just have an opinion, who has some matam, who has been established in Tattvam and who has just a matam. That a father was taking the child for the first time to watch the movie. And he was explaining what the movie is. There will be a screen and there will be projection of light, sound, and the screen will become enlivened. I will feel as if the real life drama is going on there. And the movie was about the Mahabharata, the war of the Kurukshetra. So by the time they entered the hall, the movie has already started. Now the child has already heard from his father that there is going to be some screen on which light and sound is projected. Now as the movie has started, the child couldn't see the screen. He asked, where is the screen? He told, just in front. Father was saying. They were sitting side by side. Now the child pointed to Krishna. Krishna was instructing Arjuna. That was the scene. Is Krishna the screen? Well, no. Because father has pointed towards in the front. So he thought most probably Krishna is the screen. Well, no, it's behind. Behind Arjuna was sitting. Is Arjuna the screen? No, it's behind. You don't understand. It's behind. Oh, this battlefield in the background which I can see, is that the screen? The father couldn't explain. Is the sky the screen which I see beyond the battlefield? The father was really disturbed. He couldn't explain. And then there was the interval. All the projections stopped. Now the screen was palpably visible. After that, again the movie started. But now the child was quiet. Once the interval was there, he has seen the screen. Now there is no need to explain him what is the screen. Now he has understood. All the projections are going on that screen. So now there is no need. He has seen. He knows what is the screen and what is the projection. It is because of the self, the mind is getting activated to create this projection. The child, once, if we can somehow have that interval like the child, the mind has stopped for the time being. And you become one with the self. That's the screen, background behind it. Now again the projection may start, but now you are a Tattvavit. Nothing can baffle you. But if we have only heard that there is a screen and it's a projection and think we have understood, then the condition is like another person, a simple person who went to see the movie and sat in the very front seat thinking he will see better. Sitting there, he was just observing what's going on, and it was some wild life movie. A rhinoceros was chasing, and this man got up and started running towards the exit. The others thought, stop, what has happened to you? Why are you going towards, why are you running? Don't you see the rhino is chasing? Well, that's just the movie. And then this man thinks he's very intelligent. He says, you understand it's a movie, I understand it's a movie. Does the rhino understand it's a movie? He doesn't understand. So, if that is mata, till we haven't seen the screen, for us what happens, we hear classes, read scriptures that the self is separate from the body-mind complex, and with this idea, I go and meet the world and find the people quarreling, fighting, saying me mad. In which world do you live? And I think these people don't understand. They are the rhinos. What has happened? Because I have not seen the screen, though I say that I am the self, but I have not realized. So the same, this guna karmas, vibhaga, we cannot do. It goes on. So the word Tattvavit is very important in this sloka. The one is Tattvavit, one who has realized. It is just not an opinion for him. He knows the distinction between these two. And for him, he knows that it is just the interaction of the gunas in the form of the sense and the mind with the gunas, which speaks of the external world. It's just the interaction based on which these mental modules are getting activated. They are having their own stimuli response conditioning, and I am just the witness. So this is the idea. The one who has seen that, he can never be baffled. After saying this, what Bhagavan says is that in the 29th sloka, Prakriter guna sangmura sajjante guna karmasu tana kritsna vido mandan kritsna vinna vichalayet. So again he is coming back to that idea that it doesn't mean cessation of action. That I am the witness of the actions, the interactions which is going on. That speaks of the detachment. It doesn't speak of cessation of that. Once you have that developed, that the one who can really enjoy the movie, the one who knows it's a movie, if he really thinks it's something real, then he gets scared. He will try to run away if he sees some horror scenes. But if he is always aware of the fact that it is just the movie, then that it gives, instead of frightening us, it's a thing of entertainment. The movie is entertainment because we know it's just a mere projection. So that doesn't speak that I won't watch movie at all. Once I know it's mere projection, it has no real, it is not real. There is no question of suffering. You can really enjoy it. And that's the thing which has been spoken of here in the Bhagavad Gita. Let the actions go on. Once you have realized, you come back. Let the actions continue. By stopping action, don't confuse the one who are still in the domain of ignorance. The persons of perfect knowledge, the Kritsnavit, should not unsettle this vichalayat. They shouldn't unsettle the understanding of the people of dull wit, of the mandan, and imperfect knowledge, akritsnavit, who, deluded by the gunas of the prakriti, prakriteir guna sangmudha, attach themselves to the functions of the guna, sajjante guna karmasu. So here what has been spoken of is actually that action continues, but the orientation or the attitude changes. Your attitude changes. Thereby what you are doing, you are just avoiding the confusion that may entail from the cessation of action. If you see that, then it will be creating confusion among the one who are yet to be enlightened. So it has to go on. So here, why Bhagavan is bringing this idea that it is all the gunas which are interacting with the gunas, you are not the one who is acting. So now we will understand that why Bhagavan is bringing this idea that Arjuna is a Kshatriya. He is of the warrior class. And being of that Kshatriya class, in the battlefield, as per his swabhava, as per his inborn inclinations, he has came with a particular set of mental modules, being a Kshatriya. His past birth has decided that he will be of the warrior class. His past impressions have decided that. He is having all those particular set of mental modules. For him, it is the natural inclination that when there is a righteous war, he will get prompted to take part in it. He cannot avoid. You may say, but Arjuna himself was deciding that I won't take part in the war. In the 18th chapter, in the 59th sloka, Bhagavan is what he's saying, Yat ahankaram asritya na yotse. We will come much later, but just to link with this idea, we are just bringing the idea here, that Yat ahankaram asritya. Because of that egoistic attitude, you have taken the decision that I won't fight. Na yotsya iti manyase. And then the next line Bhagavan says, Mithyaisha vyavasayaste. Such resolution is a vain. Prakristvam niyokshati. Your nature will force you to take part in the war. So even if you leave the war, just it happens with us. Sometimes at the spur of the moment we take decision and later we go on repenting. Oh, that was better. I have now in a much more bad condition. I much more, the situation has worsened. I shouldn't have taken that decision. Why? Because my nature actually is forcing me to do something. That's how I am. And suddenly, to go to my comfort zone, to run away from the situation, I have taken a decision. But my nature is saying, no, that was okay. So that's why this prakriti tvang niyokshati. It will force you. So again in the 33rd sloka of the same chapter, he will say, Sadrisham cheshtate swasya prakritir jnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kinkarishyati. That sometimes we try to imitate others. And by taking that, thinking that this is the way of life. Sometimes a wise man reading the scriptures think, oh, this is the ideal way. But they find that then their senses are acting contrary to them. Even the wise people act according to their natures. For all living beings are propelled by the natural tendencies. What will one gain by repression? That's the thing in 33rd sloka is saying. What's the idea? Then are we given to free rein to our senses? No, not that's the idea. The idea is we are born with particular bent because of our past karma, past action. However, I may just take a resolution which is contrary to that. Know it for certain it is not going to help you. Know the way you are constituted and then just be detached and let with the idea of seek not, avoid not, let the divine work through you. He has chosen you as per your temperament to fulfill certain aspect of life through you. He has chosen that. He is working through you. With that attitude, that's the idea which will come to the next sloka. That once you know that you are bound to act as per the guna karma vibhagayo, let the body mind go on through all the responsibilities with which it has been placed in a particular situation of life. Let it go. Be detached. Know it for certain. It is the divine who is working through you. So offer all the actions to the divine and be at peace with yourself. So that's the real practice of detachment, and that's the karma yoga. As in conclusion to all this idea that you are not the karta, that you are not the doer, he will, in a conclusion, bring that idea that if you are not the doer, if it is the divine who has planned this universe with all these mental modules, everything, it is the plan, it's a much bigger plan through which this body is working. That there is something much bigger than my individual existence, something much higher than this small individual life. Let it work through me. I am just witnessing it. I do it to the best of my ability with all the faculties with which I have been born, and there it rests. I have nothing to do with it. So I have no expectation out of it. So that's the idea which will come in the next sloka after he speaks of this idea that we are not the karta, it is the guna which is interacting with the gunas, the mind and senses in a particular way, acting with the external world, giving me a sensation, I am the doer, but that is the thing which is out of ignorance. Come out of that ignorance and act in a wiser way with a change of your attitude, with a correction of your attitude. So that's the thing which Bhagavad Gita is trying to bring home. This idea is trying to bring home. So with this, we stop our discussion today. We will continue with the next sloka again in the next class. Thank you all. Namaskar. With this.